alongside my colleagues from across the maritime industry. We are all in this together, and we deeply appreciate your leadership and support. It is great to see that every member of this subcommittee hails from a maritime state or territory. Today, I'd like to discuss 4 pillars that form the foundation of our industry's health and viability and the critical role that you play in preserving that foundation. Those pillars are the Jones Act, federal preemption, waterways infrastructure, and marine safety. First, the Jones Act, the basis for every dollar that our members invest in American-built vessels and every job they provide to American men and women. The Jones Act allows us to provide ladders of career opportunity and support hundreds of thousands of jobs in related industries nationwide. The human dimension of the Jones Act is equally compelling. High school graduates and military veterans can work their way up from the deck to the wheelhouse, becoming captains on towing vessels and making 6-figure salaries. In addition, many of our member companies are still owned by the 3rd, 4th, or even 5th generations of the same families. We don't see either of those things much in the U.S. economy today. The Transportation Committee has long been a bastion of bipartisan support for the Jones Act, as we saw most recently with your letter to Secretary Nielsen. We thank you for that and ask that you continue to support the law vigorously. Second, federal preemption. American farmers, energy producers, and manufacturers depend on our industry to move their products to market and to deliver the inputs and the raw materials on which they rely. And because our vessels can pass through the waters of a dozen states in the course of a single voyage, our industry depends on a coherent and consistent regulatory regime administered and enforced by knowledgeable federal agencies. The principle of federal primacy was a foundation of the U.S. Constitution and has consistently been applied to interstate commerce for more than 200 years. It has also been reflected in thoughtful bipartisan legislation, from the landmark Oil Pollution Act of 1990 to last year's Vessel Incidental Discharge Act. Thank you for passing VITA. It is important both for the maritime industry, which needed the national uniformity that only federal regulations can provide, and for the marine environment, which will benefit as the highest standards economically achievable are implemented nationwide. We urge you to continue to ensure the primacy of federal laws governing vessel operations and hold executive branch agencies accountable for actively defending federal authority in this field. The third pillar is waterways infrastructure, which is in urgent need of modernization and repair. Critical failures and unscheduled closures have occurred at locks throughout the system. If left untended, these problems will increase the cost of marine transportation and call its reliability into question. That would be devastating not only for our industry, but for the shippers who rely on us, and for air quality and highway congestion as well. Congress can continue to support waterways infrastructure by keeping the Water Resources Development Act on a 2-year reauthorization cycle and opposing additional taxation, tolling, or lockage charges on users of the inland waterways system. We're already paying our share, supporting a 45% increase in the inland waterways fuel tax in 2014. The fourth pillar is marine safety, our industry's franchise to operate. This responsibility falls primarily on us. Congress also has an important role to play. A quarter-century ago, AWO developed the Responsible Carrier Program as a code of best practices for member companies. We later instituted a third-party audit mechanism to increase the integrity of our safety management system. Building on these industry-led initiatives, AWO worked with this subcommittee and the Coast Guard for more than a decade to develop comprehensive towing vessel safety and inspection regulations, which took effect last July. AWO members are committed to getting safer every day. Our goal is not simply to comply with the regulations, but to institute a culture of safety industry-wide. Please hold us accountable for the commitments we make. In addition, please help the Coast Guard to promote a culture of safety by ensuring that regulations, policy, and user fees don't disincentivize safety management systems. Congress can also help by eliminating regulations that have little positive impact on safety or environmental protection. In closing, I thank you for your support for our industry and ask for your continued support for the 4 pillars that enable us to serve our customers and our country. I look forward to answering your questions.